The quiet of the hospital was deceptive, cloaking the undercurrent of urgency that every healthcare facility carries. Nurses moved from room to room, doctors reviewed patient charts, and the occasional beep of machines punctuated the silence. It was an ordinary night, until the doors slammed open and chaos burst in. A bear, massive and wild, stood in the middle of the hospital lobby. Its fur was damp, its movements cautious but deliberate. In its mouth it carried something. A small, fragile creature that seemed barely alive. For a moment, the world stood still. Then panic erupted. Staff and patients alike screamed, scattering in every direction. Someone hit the emergency alarm, and the blaring sound only added to the confusion. Lana, a young nurse who had faced many emergencies in her career, found herself frozen. She had seen wounds, life-threatening conditions, and heartbreaking losses. But nothing had prepared her for this. A bear? Here, of all places? Her instincts screamed at her to run, but her eyes stayed locked on the strange sight. The bear wasn't attacking or roaring. It wasn't acting like a wild animal out of control. It was looking around, its gaze sharp and focused, almost as if it were searching for something. Or someone. And then Hana saw it. The tiny creature in the bear's mouth wasn't prey. It wasn't some random object the animal had picked up. It was alive, its small chest rising and falling weakly. Hana's fear began to mingle with a new emotion. Curiosity. Why would a bear carry something so delicately? What had brought it here? Before Hana could act, hospital security arrived. They shouted orders, guiding people toward the exits. Everyone out, stay calm, and follow the evacuation route. The bear, startled by the noise and movement, growled low in its throat, a sound that sent shivers down Hana's spine. But even in its tension, it didn't drop the small creature. It held on, protective and determined. As people poured out of the building, Hana made a decision that surprised even herself. She wasn't going to run. She wasn't going to leave. Something about the bear's behavior told her there was more to this situation than met the eye. Slowly, she began to move, her heart pounding in her chest. Step by step, she approached the bear, keeping her movements slow and deliberate. The bear's eyes flicked to her, watching her closely, but not showing aggression. "Hey, it's okay," Hana whispered, her voice trembling but steady. She had no idea if the bear could understand her tone, but she hoped it could sense her intent. "I just want to help." The bear didn't move, but it didn't growl again either. Taking that as a sign, Hana gestured toward a nearby room. She needed to get the bear out of the hallway, away from the panicked crowd. Slowly, carefully, she led the animal into the room and shut the door behind them. The click of the lock sounded unnaturally loud in the quiet space. Inside, the bear placed the small creature on the floor, nudging it gently with its nose. Hana could now see it more clearly. A tiny, fur-covered animal that didn't quite look like anything she'd seen before. It wasn't a typical cub. Its features were strange, almost otherworldly. It let out a weak, pitiful sound that tugged at Hana's heart. "I need help," Hana muttered to herself. She turned and slipped out of the room, her mind racing. Who could she call? The hospital staff was in full crisis mode, and most of them wouldn't dare come near a bear. She thought of Peter, a local veterinarian she had worked with on a few wildlife rescue cases. He was experienced, brave, and, most importantly, likely to answer her call even in the middle of the night. Hannah found her phone and dialed his number, her fingers trembling. The line rang twice before Peter picked up, his voice groggy but alert. "Hannah? What's going on?" "There's a bear in the hospital," Hannah blurted out. "It brought something. I don't know what it is, but it's hurt. I need your help." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "A bear? In the hospital? Are you serious?" "Yes, and it's not attacking anyone. It's like it wants help for this creature. Please, Peter, I can't do this alone." Peter sighed, the sound of rustling fabric indicating he was already getting out of bed. "I'm on my way. Don't do anything risky until I get there." While waiting for Peter, Hannah returned to the room where the bear and the small creature were. The bear watched her intently as she entered, its posture tense but not aggressive. She knelt down, keeping a safe distance, and observed the little animal. Its breathing was shallow, its tiny body trembling. It was clear that whatever it was, it needed urgent care. When Peter arrived, he was as astonished as Hannah had been. "That's incredible," he murmured, staring at the bear and its unusual cargo. "I've never seen anything like this." The two of them worked quickly. Peter examined the small creature while Hannah kept the bear calm, speaking to it softly and avoiding sudden movements. "It's dehydrated and malnourished," Peter said, "but it's alive. We need to get it to a sanctuary where it can be properly cared for." As they prepared to leave, the bear did something unexpected. It stood up and walked to the door, glancing back at them as if urging them to follow. Hannah and Peter exchanged a look. "I think it wants to lead us somewhere," Hannah said. With some hesitation, they followed the bear out of the hospital and into the nearby woods. The night air was cool, and the forest was eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves. The bear moved with purpose, its massive frame navigating the terrain with surprising grace. Hannah and Peter struggled to keep up, their flashlights casting long shadows on the trees. After what felt like an eternity, the bear stopped at an old well. From inside, faint cries echoed up. Hannah's heart sank. "There are more of them," she whispered. Peter immediately set to work, securing a rope and lowering himself into the well. One by one, he brought up more of the strange creatures, each one as fragile and vulnerable as the first. Hannah cradled them gently, her mind racing with questions. What were they? How had they ended up here? And why was the bear so intent on saving them? By the time they had rescued the last of the creatures, the first light of dawn was breaking through the trees. The bear watched them quietly, its eyes filled with something Hannah could only describe as gratitude. It let out a soft huff, turned, and disappeared into the forest. Hannah and Peter brought the creatures to a wildlife sanctuary where they were examined and cared for. The sanctuary staff was as baffled as they were by the animals' origins. Genetic testing later revealed that they were a rare crossbreed, a mix of species that shouldn't have been able to interbreed. Their existence was a mystery, one that scientists would study for years to come. For Hannah, the experience was life-changing. She often visited the sanctuary, checking on the creatures she had helped save. Each time, she was reminded of the extraordinary connection that had formed that night. A connection between humans, animals, and the unspoken bond that had united them in a moment of need. In the end, it wasn't just a story about a bear in a hospital. It was a story about compassion, bravery, and the incredible ways life can surprise us when we least expect it.